Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rest Day with Jack Haig. In this episode, I sit down and talk with my Norwegian teammate Torstein Træen. It was the day before the start of Vuelta España. We discussed a little bit about the preparation, racing Vuelta Burgos, the new UCI rule around testing not having race radios or having race radios with only two people in a race, because Vuelta Burgos was the first race that this was tested at. We also discussed going from Vuelta Burgos and then racing directly San Sebastian the next day, which is not a super common thing that happens in the World Tour. And then we do a little bit of discussion about Vuelta. Now, at the end of the episode, we touch on how Torstein actually had testicular cancer. I wanted to maybe save this for another episode, but we started discussing it a little bit. And if you guys would like to hear more about his testicular cancer and how the diagnosis happened and the recovery process, I plan to try and interview Torstein again on the first rest day, and we can discuss a little bit more about how the first week of Vuelta has gone, a little bit more about his testicular cancer, if that is something that you guys are interested in. And if you guys have any particular questions that you'd like to have answered regarding Vuelta, please, like the previous episode, get onto the Escape Collective Discord channel. There's a rest day sub topic on there. Write the questions into there, and then I'll do my best to try and answer them. For myself, what have I been up to since the last episode? Well, I've been at home training. Time went really fast, to be honest, between the end of Tour de France, racing San Sebastian, and then I only had a couple of days between San Sebastian and traveling to Vuelta España. Training actually went pretty good. I've been feeling quite good at home since the finish of Tour de France. San Sebastian went relatively well. I felt really nice during the race, but yeah, now we seem to be racing so fast that I didn't quite have the legs to be there to contest for a top 10 position, which I was kind of hoping for. I was sort of in that group fighting for about 20th position with Sepp Kuss and a couple other guys, where we got dropped on the second last climb. But I'm really looking forward to starting Vuelta. It's a Grand Tour that I've always sort of done well at and enjoyed. We're coming here with Antonio Tabiri as our GC leader. I'll play a bit of a sort of second GC support role and just see how it goes. I enjoy racing in Spain, and I really hope that I can have a slightly better Vuelta España compared to my performance in Tour de France. The good news is that I was enjoying racing a bit more in San Sebastian, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in. And as always, I really hope you enjoy this episode, and I'm really looking forward to hearing some feedback. I want to try and progress what I've started here with the rest day and try and make it a bit more maybe professional and a bit more structured. I'm going to start working with someone that can try and help advise me on how to better structure my podcast so that they're a bit more, have a linear theme throughout a lot of the interviews that I do, and hopefully that makes it a bit more enjoyable for you guys. As always, thanks, and see you in the next episode. Torstein Træen, teammate of mine. We're here day before the start of Vuelta in the outskirts of Lisbon, kind of close to Cascais?
Yeah, something like this.
Maybe pronounce your name for me.
Torstein Træen.
There we go. That was much better than my pronunciation. Norwegian, this is your first year in the team. You previously raced for the Uno X team, Scandinavian team. You're actually on the development team for a really long time.
Yeah. So first we had like development team, or was only development, and then we turned pro in 2020. And this is the first year I changed.
And this is now your second Grand Tour. You did Tour de France with Uno X last year.
Started the Giro.
You started the Giro this year.
But didn't ride it.
How many stages did you do?
I think I did first stage, I crashed, 2 stages, and then I stopped.
Yeah. So Torstein was caught up in a big crash, and you got how many stitches in your knee?
Only 4, but as you can see, it's maybe not the prettiest.
Yeah, he's currently showing me his knee is a massive scar.
Yeah.
And stitches in the knee is not very good for cycling.
Yeah.
Now, maybe explain where we are. We're in, how would you describe the hotel?
I think if we ask Magnus Kort in his room and rating, he would give this, he do to 6, no? 1 to 6.
I think something like this, yeah.
I think he would give it a 5. Like the views are pretty nice, air conditioned. I didn't check the internet, but it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's like a 6-story sort of, I would call it like a more family, all-inclusive style hotel.
Yeah.
It's not crazy busy at the moment either, which is kind of nice. We're kind of waterfront. We have a busy road sort of between us and the water, but no, it's pretty not nice. Bad.
I think also for us, we will give it a higher score just because we have single room, both of us.
Yeah, this is also something true. So the Tour de France this year, the team suffered from some sickness, and I think we're trying to help eliminate some of the risks of that. And we have 4 of the 8 riders in single rooms, and me and Torstein one of those, and it makes it just a little bit nicer. You get a bit more space.
Yeah, it's really nice, especially in the morning. You don't need to wake up the other guy, and you don't need to worry about going in the toilet in the night. So,
do you prefer single room?
I prefer maybe a double room if it's somebody I really like.
I prefer single room in like week-long stage races. But sometimes, especially now, we can talk about it in a little bit, but these first couple of days before a Grand Tour starts, being solo in the room is kind of lonely.
Yeah, really. No, I really like to have like JPP. For me, JPP is one of the best to have in the room because we can speak like Norwegian, Danish, and we have so much fun. I can make fun of him all day, and he is like, all the things.
Similar with myself and Wout Poels, we have a good relationship, and being in the room together helps pass the time a little bit.
Yeah, really.
Before we get on to too much talking about the Vuelta a España, you had the first goal of the season being the Giro d'Italia. Then after this, you had, I guess, a small break recovering from your crash and the stitches in your knee. Won a stage in Tour de Suisse, and then I imagine you had a bit of a break to then build up to this, which will be your second big goal of the season.
Yeah.
You did altitude camp in Passo Bodoi in Italy.
Yep.
And then raced Vuelta Burgos and then directly to San Sebastian. How's Vuelta Burgos? Or before I get you to answer that, sorry. Vuelta Burgos is used as a bit of a preparation race for Vuelta a España, similar to maybe Dauphiné or Tour de Suisse.
Yeah.
So how was Burgos for you in general? And then how did you see some of the more favorites for Vuelta who were racing Burgos?
I think it was quite nice. Like Burgos was same hotel every day, which is super nice. We had the kitchen truck, super nice. And like Damiano was saying, he done this race 7 or 8 times. He really likes it, super nice and super quiet, you know. So it was really like quite a nice start, I would say. And then we started first day without anybody having radio.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So the UCI is testing a couple of new rules. One of them was the distance in the final of the sprint stages that we tested in Tour de France, where some stages was 5 kilometers to go, 4, and then the normal 3Ks. But now they're doing some tests with the radios, and Burgos was the first race where they trialed this. So first day you had no radios.
No radios. And it was, I would say, actually, at this race, really nice. Just because it was super flat. Was nobody contesting for any villages because nobody knew what was coming up. And then when we get to the final, it was like pretty normal sprint stage. There was not many sprinters there, so it was not too much chaos. It was super nice. And then, like we started second day, everybody had radio, and everybody was nervous because we had this one kick up at the finish at like 7% of something. So everybody knew that the sprinter have to be in the front. The GC guys have to be in front, so everybody wants to be in the front. And then was, again, quite nervous, and we lost Damiano with a small crash.
You think the nervousness was because of the radios a little bit, or you think it was just because of the parkour of the race?
Just because the parkour of the race. I think without radios it would be even worse.
Even worse?
Yeah, because then nobody knows what is coming up, and then you can feel sometimes maybe the wind is a bit, and then everybody gets super nervous.
And then on another day, you tested with just 2 people in the team having the radio?
Yeah, that was the last day. And that was even worse, I would say. Because, there was 2 guys with the radio and then get the information on the radio about what is happening, And then they was turning, like to tell people out. So they were looking more behind than forward. So it was really
yes, I can see this being a problem.
Yeah, it was really like super special, because I didn't have the radio and suddenly they were coming like 100 guys sprinting for a corner. And it was like, what the fuck is happening? And then you just understand that somebody get on the radio, it's a bit smaller road. And then they tell to the other guys they are close to, and then everybody sprints. So it was like really, I would say, not the safest option maybe.
On the topic of the radios, what's your personal opinion on the trial that happened and then going forward?
I really like radios because like most of the time we are not saying anything special now. It's always be in the front, blah, blah, blah. But it's really nice when things are coming up, like something has happened or is a crash or ambulance is coming or something like this. And I think the most important is also when it's really cold or rainy, you can already prepare what kind of clothes you have. And we have 4 different rain jackets, and every time it's like, I want this rain jacket and not this one.
Yeah, I'm also a pro radio.
Yeah.
I think it really is for a safety reason. I wish sometimes, yes, with the directors, I think maybe there is a little bit more stress caused in the peloton, but I also think that they're a really critical safety thing as well, because normally every single year at some point during the season you're doing a race and there's something random like an ambulance needs to get past the bunch because there's an emergency not related to cycling, but they need to pass the bunch. Then everybody hears on the radio, you can move out of the way, ambulance passes. Or it's not that uncommon that a motorbike might crash in front of the race, and then you're descending down a hill, and then you get to hear on the radio, there's a motorbike crashed, and everyone knows that it's there. Same thing like what you're saying now with the changing of clothes or with mechanicals as well. Yeah. I think all this kind of stuff is very useful to have the radio. And I think we might solve one problem by eliminating the radio, that you get rid of some stress in the peloton, but then you create a bunch more problems with it as well. So yeah, it's a interesting rule that UCI is testing, and I'm curious to see where it goes. I was very positive with the new 5 and 4 kilometer rule in the Tour de France. I really like that. And I think that's a positive one, but the radio one, I'm not too sure about yet.
Yeah, also because like I raced Tour of the Alps this year, and then we were going down, I think 3rd stage, it was like we went up 5 kilometers and down and then finish. And then there was suddenly a motorbike in the road because it crashed in the downhill. And then I got told on the radio, like, there is a motorbike, it crashed, blah, blah, blah. And really like helps you a bit, but to eliminate it, I don't see really the point.
Okay, maybe to move on to the competitors in Burgos. Sepp Kuss won.
Sepp Kuss won. Really, it was impressive.
What was your perception of the level of the race? Because it's a non-World Tour race. In Bahrain, Victorious, we don't do too many non-World Tour races. So sometimes it can actually be quite nice to do a non-World Tour race. Oh,
I think, to be honest, was almost like racing a World Tour race, because there was like 14 World Tour teams, only 4 or 5 pro teams. And then, everybody is almost shaped up to Vuelta. So Kuss was really strong. I would say Arensman was not flying, maybe. He was struggling a bit. So, it was, as we can say, some also with our own Tiberi, he was not flying, maybe. So, it was a bit up and down, I would say, with the peloton. But Kuss is looking pretty good, I would say.
And now, Burgos was a slightly different time, or I think it was quite similar time to previous years, but the biggest change in the race calendar was San Sebastian, which got changed because of the Olympics. Historically, San Sebastian is always the weekend after the Tour de France. But this year, obviously, we had the Olympics. So now they moved San Sebastian to be the weekend before Vuelta. And Vuelta Burgos finished on the Friday. And then San Sebastian was on Saturday. There was quite a few people from other teams that also did Burgos San Sebastian. you also did it for us. How was doing one stage race and then starting a completely different one-day race the next day, but it kind of just being an extended stage race?
Yeah, no, it's always a bit fun, when you do it like this, because you have you can see some guys also who was racing in Burgos who was kind of suffering, and then you see fresh guys who was there, so it was really a mix. But I would say Patrick Conrad, I looked it up, I think he was 8 or something in Burgos in GC, and then he was 7 in San Sebastian. So obviously some people can deal with it pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, but then you also had guys like Kus who won Burgos and then maybe didn't perform so well in San Sebastian, and who knows for what reason. But some people it works, some people it doesn't.
But for me, the biggest difference was Burgos was pretty hot there. It was 35 degrees every day, but it's completely no humidity because we are not far from the sea. And when we come to San Sebastian, I remember we did this long climb, opposite of what we did for the tour.
The Heskabel.
Yeah, opposite what we did for the tour. And I remember I was so warm.
Yeah.
I was really sweating like a pig. It felt like it was really suffering.
Yeah, it was super humid, San Sebastian, super, super sweaty, hot all day, and also quite fast, to be honest. Visma set a super hard pace all day, and I think a lot of people suffered with the humidity and the hard pacing.
Yeah, you can also say Jonas. He was dropped in San Sebastian with 40k to go, and now he's leading in Poland. So.
Yeah, now it looks like he's probably going to win Poland.
Yeah.
So,
so things happens pretty fast in cycling, I would say.
Now, there's not really a whole lot of time between San Sebastian and when we traveled to with the Vuelta.
Yeah.
So San Sebastian was on Saturday, and then a couple of days later on the Wednesday, we traveled to Lisbon for start of Vuelta. What did you do in these couple of days?
I didn't do much, to be honest. I had 2 easy days where I didn't do anything. The first thing was I arrived home on the Sunday.
So you traveled one day after the race finished?
One day after the finish. I arrived home. I was home in Girona at 11, 12 o'clock. And then you have to realize, I open the fridge, everything is empty. And then you have to now I need to go to work. So I had to go to different Sunday open shops.
Because also it's Sunday in Spain, not a whole lot is open.
And then you have to try to do healthy choices, because you know that you're coming to Vuelta, so you cannot order Uber Eats or something. So you try to go to different shop, and then you see they have cucumber here, or you go to different tomatoes here, and try to figure everything out. On the Monday, I didn't do much either. I had fully rest. Tuesday, I did 4.5 hours on the bike, and then Wednesday traveled.
Yeah, so basically you just did one day training, more or less, between San Sebastian and traveling to here.
Yeah.
I did a bit of a similar thing. I flew after the race on a Saturday evening from San Sebastian to Mallorca. And then I spent a couple of days in Mallorca doing some training. I trained on Sunday because I didn't need to travel. So I did no, that's a lie. I took a rest day on Sunday. And I enjoyed a little bit with my wife and just enjoyed being in Mallorca. And then Monday and Tuesday, I did decent rides. I did a little bit more training than Torstein because I didn't race Vuelta Burgos. Yeah. So I did, I think, maybe 3.5 hours on the Monday and then 4.5 hours on the Tuesday with some intervals just to sort of keep the body a bit awake. And then Wednesday, I did 2 hours in the morning before flying Wednesday evening.
Yeah. I think if I would do it again and maybe got told a bit earlier that I do San Sebastian, I would go directly San Sebastian, Lisbon.
Yeah, I was also considering this before I made the plans to go to Mallorca because it's such an inconvenient amount of time. Yeah. And one of the reasons I chose to go to Mallorca was you have to driving is the most time efficient way to go to San Sebastian, and it's 6 hours, 6 and a bit. And the idea of driving 6 hours after racing 6 hours and then in a couple of days' time need to drive 3 hours to Barcelona. Yeah. I also considered trying to come to Lisbon, but there was no flights from San Sebastian. So in the end, you either drive maybe 7 hours or something from there. So yeah.
I think I would prefer to do like you sleep in a hotel to Sunday, you drive to bring the bikes in the car, drive here, and then Monday you can do training again. Yeah. Tuesday, I would do this if I can change it, but now it's a bit too late though.
So we all arrived on Wednesday. I arrived quite late. And then Thursday is, I guess, our first full day here. And part of this full day is always in a Grand Tour. We do a blood test with the UCI that's organized by the Grand Tour, I guess, as a preliminary health check, just to make sure that all our blood values are all okay. And then also it's for our biological passport. Yeah. So me and Torstein, we get a daily plan every single day that outlines what we have to do. First thing for us was actually skin folds at 7 a.m., which was a bit rude because I arrived, I didn't go to sleep until about midnight or 1 a.m. because I arrived quite late. So we did skin folds. How important are skin folds for you? Maybe explain a little bit what they are, and then how it changes between people.
It's quite funny, I would find skin fold, because we did it always at UNOX. There was only one guy who did it, so then it was pretty sure when it's the same guy, you can have pretty similar numbers now for every time. And then I changed the team here, and I remember, I was like, I need to lose weight because suddenly I gained quite a lot of points on the skin fold, and they were like, "Yeah, you are really high. You are really high." I was like, "Yeah, really high." And then, as progressing, we've obviously gone down a bit, but.
So I guess maybe to add to this, the way that it's measured is through pinching your skin in different points on your body, and then they have special calipers that then measure the millimeter of skin or fat, and then you add up, and the way that we do it in the team is we have 7 points. You add up the points, and then you get a number, and then this number is a reference that can be used throughout the year, basically of how lean or not lean you are.
So we do this now, I would say quite often. So I remember it was for example, in Swiss, we measured skin fold at the last day in Swiss for some reason. And then I obviously won the stage 3 days before. And Giacomo, as a nutritionist, he was like, "You have a high skin fold, eh? You have a high skin fold." Because he was measuring Johan before, and Johan was pretty low, like low 30s. And I was almost at the 50s number. I said to him, but at the end I was the only one who won the stage, so I think it's okay. So I always try to it's hard to say, you cannot compare for you and for me, because maybe you can be low 30s and I can be low 40s, and this is the maximum you can lean. At the end, I think the most important is the combination of weight and power.
Yeah, and I think sometimes this is forgotten a little bit in cycling, that there's many factors that lead to a good performance.
Yeah.
And just because visually someone looks very skinny, and maybe you say, wow, this guy's super lean. Wow, look at his legs, this. But if he's not riding fast, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this is a little bit forgotten. And on this topic, just before recording this podcast, a little shout out to Leo Hader. Did you see his post, actually?
Yeah.
Talking about depression?
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite brave of him to write something like this, and I'm really happy that it gets spoken about a bit more, because he also spoke, I only read half of the post yet, I need to finish it when we finish this interview, but I read that he was talking about binge eating and suffering with his weight.
Yeah. No, I think it's also hard, moving away from home, because I think he lives in Andorra, so it's always hard when you are young and you don't have that many people that you know, and then if cycling is everything, it's not always easy.
Moving on from the skin folds.
First we did the coffee, then we did the blood test.
Something to add. Torstein is, I think, you're one of the few people in the team that travels with a coffee setup.
Yeah.
When I was in Green Edge, it was much more popular.
Yeah.
But in this team, it's not so popular. So you travel with a V60.
Yeah, V60.
Pour over coffee setup.
Yeah.
You have grinder. You have scale, kettle, everything. So when I'm in need of coffee, Torstein's the man.
Yeah. So, when I started with it was last year, I think it was in Dauphiné, and it was because in UNOX we had a shit coffee machine. It was really bad. And I was so angry at the team because like UNOX is super nice, because I know the manager, everything's super nice. So you can, if something is shit, you can always tell him, and he's like, yeah. And I was really angry, and I said, we need a better coffee machine. And he said, no. And then I ended up buying all the things and brought it to the tour and stuff. Made coffee every day, even though I had like the broken elbow and stuff. We made coffee. It was quite nice, huh? And then, like when I came to this team, I was like, yeah, I just keep on doing it. So then I started to do it. I was with Wout in Tenerife, and then he was like a bit. He was a bit skeptical, because I asked already in Catalonia, Wout, maybe we go to room together, because I could already sense like we will get along pretty well, and he was like, whoa, I don't know, And then he arrived. I sent him, the first day I came to the hotel, I sent a video of the room and I asked him, Wout, which side of the bed do you want? I was like, I take the right one. It's like, okay. And then I made coffee for him. And then I think he fell in love immediately.
I think he also very much appreciated the coffee. But you also made this for us in Tour de Anda.
Yeah.
And this was also much appreciated because in Tour de Anda we don't have bus, we don't have kitchen truck, don't have nothing. And to have Torstein with his big pot of coffee and our little minivans that we use for Tour de Anda was quite nice. So yeah, skin folds, coffee with Torstein, blood test.
Yeah.
Now we sort of get the results of the blood test, I think probably either today or tomorrow.
Yeah, should be today, I think.
Yeah. And then it's a pretty basic blood test, to be honest. Yeah. Red blood cells, white blood cells, testosterone.
Yeah.
Pretty basic stuff. So there's not much really going on there. And then something different that I haven't done before was we did the photos in the morning and then the presentation in the evening. Whereas normally, for example, in Tour de France this year and almost every other Grand Tour I've done, you do all the photos in the afternoon before you do the presentation.
I think I maybe prefer it like this because now we had to travel to the start, had to go all through this and delay the training and then go in the evening and sit in the bus for 1.5 hours,
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind it, to be honest.
Yeah.
In the morning.
It was also super fast there. Like
yes.
I don't think I've been to a place where it was this efficient.
Yes. That's actually something I was also going to comment on. Was it was actually really, really nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Not a lot of waiting around. In Tour de France, it normally takes quite a long time. Spend a lot of time just sitting around doing nothing, waiting.
Because I feel also in the Tour de France, it's like if you don't walk the right way into the first photo, you are there for like 5 minutes, trying to walk in. But here it was like, just take a step forward and you're finished.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice. Everyone was pretty relaxed. I spoke with some of the Quick Step guys and I asked them what T-Rex was.
No.
And one of them replied, dinosaur. And I said, well, I might look stupid, but I'm not that stupid. I know it's a dinosaur, but I don't imagine you guys are promoting the T-Rex. And turns out it's a silicon product that Sudal.
Yeah, because I was also I saw on Poland, I think, because Sudal is also sponsoring Poland with the back numbers. So it was Sudal on one side and T-Rex on the other, if I don't remember wrong.
Now, someone asked me a question regarding friendship in the peloton and how you deal with having friends in other teams in race situations.
For me, it's quite special, because obviously I have quite a tight relationship with UNOX, I would say. I always get happy when I see them on the races. I always talk to them. And then it's always strange, you have to fight with them and you try to... obviously not giving anything away for free. But at the end, I think you have more friends in the peloton than I have.
Yeah, I don't know how, but I generally enjoy talking to a lot of different people in the bunch. So I start to build relationships with a lot of people. I think I'm quite open, but I explained in the podcast I did after the Tour de France, the one just before this, that I think most people are pretty good at respecting that racing's racing. And then after racing, you become friends. And as long as you're kind of respectful with what you do in the race and you don't do something that's dangerous or disrespectful to another person, everyone can understand that rubbing shoulders and sort of pushing here and there is part of racing.
I think also everybody understands that most of the people are pretty nice when they're off the bike and then some people just lose their head a bit more on the bike than the others, but most of us seems to come together quite nice, huh?
Now, we did training, and the Thursday was more or less the only training day, kind of, that we do before the Grand Tour. And the first stage of this year's Vuelta is an 11K time trial along the waterfront between Lisbon and Cascais. And we reconned it in after the photos.
Yeah.
And it was pretty straightforward, to be honest. And in total, we did about 2 hours 40 or something in training.
Something like this, huh?
Some of us had some intervals to do.
Yeah.
I did 2 by 10 minutes at like zone 3, upper zone 3.
Yeah.
You have any?
I did 2 times 7 minutes at around threshold. So one on the TT bike and one on the road bike.
Yeah, good point. We started the training on TT bike to get a feel for the course and also just get a little bit more time riding the TT bike. And then halfway through the about 75 kilometer route that we had planned, we swapped back to the road bike.
Yeah, which was quite funny because it was first spare bike. So it was obviously, everybody was saying new bike.
True. This is actually something. So we all have at least 3 road bikes here.
You have 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But yeah, so we all have at least 3. The race bike that you race on almost every day.
Yeah.
Then you have one on the team car number 1.
Yeah.
And then another one on the team car number 2. And now because typically you don't really use those other bikes during the year unless you have a problem. One thing that we always try to do before a Grand Tour is you try and ride on all your bikes to make sure you feel comfortable on them. But now with power meters and everything like this, everyone has power meters on all the different kind of bikes. Then you have a different number to connect it with in your Garmin, and everyone sort of connects all this and just tests it all out. So yeah, good point. It was part of the pre-Grand Tour days. We test our spare bikes.
Yeah.
And then I guess that brings us to today.
Yeah.
Which has been a pretty long day, to be honest. Again,
really long, today.
Solo rooms. I spent a lot of time in my room alone.
The worst thing today was I woke up 6 o'clock. And
that's rough.
Yeah. I woke up first time 6 o'clock and I was like, I'm so jet lagged because we are 1 hour behind now. And then I fell asleep again, woke up 7 o'clock. I was like, I'm so hungry. And then I fell asleep again 8 o'clock and I made coffee was the first thing. It was like already like 9 o'clock. I was like, I can't wait to eat already. So it was like really long morning. Yeah, for me it was like, and I would really like then at this point to have somebody I like to talk to and like make it a bit faster because at the end we were just sitting probably on the phone or on the computer like watching something.
And then we did about an hour 50 training, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Do you do any intervals?
No, today not. You was doing?
Yes, I did 4 minutes above threshold and 2 minutes above threshold on the time trial bike just to push a bit higher power for tomorrow's effort. But other than that, we rode pretty chill all day.
Yeah.
What do you do to pass the time in your room?
I made first, after training, I did coffee.
Yeah.
Made a coffee pot. Then after lunch, I had small nap, watch a bit of YouTube. Then I had massage, and now I'm here.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to me. I had lunch, watched a little bit of YouTube. What do you watch on YouTube?
A bit of everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really like just go with the flow, because
the algorithm.
You can just
go with the algorithm.
Yeah, because I find myself like how to kill a snake with one hand and like all these kind of crazy videos. I'm like, I can learn something here.
I'm more on the finance train or cars. That's generally what occupies.
Watches or not?
No, I'm not really. I like watches, but I'm not really into watch YouTube. It's more finance or car YouTube I get into watching. So I watched a little bit of that. I also took an about 45-minute, hour-long nap.
Oh, nice.
Had a massage, and now I'm here. Now we're waiting for dinner.
Yeah, I'm really hungry.
Yeah, I'm also pretty hungry because, not much happened today, and just hanging out, being bored makes you hungry.
But the only thing nice is like because obviously we get told how much to eat, no? And then tomorrow we start pretty late. So at the end we skip one meal. So we will have, at least for me, a bigger dinner today because we skip one meal tomorrow.
This is real disordered eating territory. Maybe explain how we do the nutrition here, because you just said that we get told what to eat.
Yeah, so my nutritionist, Marcel, super nice guy. He worked with athletics team in Netherlands, Kipchoge, the runner. And then he obviously do kind of calculation based on power. So we predict how much power you put out for training, and then you get told how many grams of carbs we eat. So in this Grand Tour, I'm guessing we will be really full on dinner and lunch.
Yeah, and if people have more questions about the nutrition or more questions about Torstein and how we do things in this year's Vuelta, write them in the Discord channel. And I'll try to do another interview with him on the next rest day. But quickly before we get to wrapping the podcast up, I was talking with Loic, who's the team coach at this year's Vuelta for the beginning this morning. And I asked him, in the history of Grand Tour, or recent history, have we ever done more than 60,000 meters of climbing? And we went and had a look through Pro Cycling Stats. And nothing really got close other than the 2020 Tour de France, and that had 59,000.
Did you do it that year?
No, I didn't. No. I did Giro that year.
Oh.
And it's kind of a bit daunting to see 61,000 vertical meters.
It's really like a climbing race, I would say, this year.
Yeah, there's not very many sprinters here.
I think the sprinters who are here, they will stay till, I don't know, first week maybe.
First couple of days.
Yeah, 5 until stage 5.
So feel free to comment anything on Discord. We can have some questions, answer them with Torstein next time. And if anybody, fun fact about Torstein, he actually had cancer. So we can maybe get into that a little bit more, but brief overview of your cancer.
Yeah, so in 2022, did you do Catalonia that year?
Probably.
Yeah. There was the year where Wout got diarrhea last day.
Oh, no, I think I only did stage 1 because I was also really sick.
Yeah. No, so that year I was on doping control, on stage 5. It was really strange because the day after, I remember I went on the scale, and normally I'm every day around 63. I was like 66.5, and I laughed. I was really laughing. I was like, I don't understand. And then we went, I was 1.5 months later, I was in Sierra Nevada, and then on the Wednesday, it come a guy from UCI test me again, and he was like, we did for the first time in my history was double blood test, but the strange thing was the second blood glass was not the same like we took to yesterday. It was like a completely different blood glass, and I was like, It's a bit strange. And then 2 days later, they called me on the Friday 13th and saying, you need to go to doctor. I was like, what do you mean with the doctor? You need to go to doctor. You can be sick. I was like, what do you mean? Your test from Catalonia is positive. I was like, what do you mean positive? Maybe you have cancer. I was like, thanks for the notice. Then we went home. I did the ultrasound 3 days later, and then I was really broken because with the ultrasound they said like we cannot see anything. I was like, now I will be out from cycling forever, because if you don't have cancer in this case it's 4-year ban. So I was like, and then we did some blood tests, and they was like, it's still in the system, so we do next ultrasound in 2 weeks. Went back 2 weeks later, and the doctor, he was like super nice. He was like, I will make sure you don't have cancer, blah, blah, blah. And then he came there, we did the ultrasound, and he said, it's not looking good. And I found it really funny, because cancer was the least problem I had at that moment, it felt like. And then we did 2 more tests, and did some then. They took out one of my testicles. Called me 2 weeks later after I had the operation. They found 1.5 centimeter of tumor. Had a nice type of cancer of the 2 types. And then I didn't need more treatment. So it was quite intense period, I would say.
How long were you out from cycling for?
So I didn't do... The last race I did that year was Tour of the Alps. Was in April. And then I returned again, I think, in middle of August.
So not so long.
No, I only had 2 weeks off the bike. So it was really funny because I went to a check after it was 5 weeks after I had the operation. And you know, normal people, they still haven't started exercise at this point.
Yeah.
Because like you do obviously operation in lower stomach. So it's really, you have to be really like careful with not having things come out of the operation hole. So you cannot lift too much and you have to be careful with everything. And I got to the doctor and she was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing pretty well. I did 30 hours training last week.
30 hours, Jesus.
And this was then I had 2 weeks rest and then I had 1 week with 10 hours, 1 week with 20 hours and 1 week with 30 hours. And she was like, huh? I was like, the doctor who did the operation said 2 weeks is enough. 1.5, 2 weeks. And she was like, really like shocked. And then like I did 2 more weeks with training and then I was ready to race again. Wow. So I finished actually that year. I was third in the GC in Tour of Langkawi. It was the last year I did that year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Testicular cancer, 2 weeks off the bike, and then back training.
Yeah. It was quite, to be honest, it was quite, how I see it now, it was quite a nice experience, because like sometimes in cycling you can be really, I would say you can complain a bit, because it can be a bit shit. But they put a bit life in perspective, when all you want to do is cycling and then you sit home and watch all the races and you watch the tour and everything and you are not sure if you can come back. It makes, I would say life's a bit easier. And then I'm not sure if I would change from UNOX without this experience in life, especially not do like, I would say this is quite a massive step because I didn't know anybody that well also when I was here. The best person I knew was maybe you and Wout, and I didn't really know you, both of you.
No, you spoke a tiny bit to me in Dauphiné and at the tour when you broke your elbow, but that's about it.
So it makes I would say life now a bit easier.
There you go.
Yeah.
If people have more questions about testicular cancer, also put it in Discord channel and we can talk about it a bit more.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, we need to go to the meeting.
We have a performance meeting and then we have dinner. So let's not be late for this performance meeting.
No, for sure not that.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.